From Oklahoma, recognized for 5 minutes, Mr. Lankford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for being here. A long day, I know, as well. You had mentioned before about cigarette tax and the increase in cigarette tax. It has a dual purpose. It is bringing more revenue and also decrease the usage. Is that correct?
Yes.
Comment earlier.
Public health benefit and
correct.
Yeah.
So if a cigarette tax goes in place, it decreases the usage of the cigarettes on it. There's also a proposal that you have in there in the budget as well that basically removes an incentive to continue to add to an IRA if you get past $3 million in an IRA. Do you assume from that if people get to a $3 million cap in the IRA, they'll stop putting money into an IRA, they'll invest in other areas, they'll move away from that?
Well, at $3 million,
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to set up something. Is that a yes or no? Do you think people will continue to add to it?
That the tax advantages of contributing should stop at the $3 million level, which provides a $200,000 annuity.
Right, I understand. But do you think people will stop putting into an IRA as much at that point, that they'll invest in other areas because they don't have the tax advantage?
It depends what their alternative investments are.
If it actually costs more, then they probably will. And so a cigarette tax.
Well, just to be clear, if they have.
Just a second, let me talk about this real quick, then we will. Cigarette tax will probably decrease the use of cigarettes. And if you remove all the tax incentives for an IRA at a certain level, it will probably decrease the use of an IRA. The question I have is there's also a significant portion here that says that they're going to remove all the normal business expensing for traditional energy production. So oil, gas, coal, that all of those normal business expenses for them will go away. Do you think we will have more or less energy production if we remove all the normal business expensing away from energy companies?
I think that we've had a big increase in domestic production. I think we will continue to have an increase in domestic production, particularly in natural gas.
So it'll be the opposite effect. Well, actually, right now, we're at the lowest drilling that we've been in natural gas since 1999.
Our natural gas production's at record high.
I understand, but the actual drilling and the continued exploration, the business expenses deals with the exploration. It's not dealing with the production, right? Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay, so when we're talking about the exploration and adding new amounts of inventory on there, do you think we'll increase inventory if we raise taxes on energy production?
I think that we need to have all of the above energy strategy where
we all believe that.
We're encouraging renewable energy, solar, geothermal.
I think you know where my question is. You're answering a question I'm not asking. I'm asking, do you think we'll increase production of traditional energy by increasing the tax burden on traditional energy producers? On actual exploration, adding to
I think we will have our incentives appropriately aligned with an all of the above energy strategy, which encourages efficiency, encourages alternatives, and has a fair tax code.
So should
the president does extend just the tax policy.
Now let me reclaim my time. The Green Book from the Treasury and the details of this actually uses the term that they want to have a neutral system, and that if you remove all the tax incentives for traditional energy production, oil, natural gas, and coal, and to move us to a neutral position, is it the president's position that we should be neutral on energy?
Because in the Green Book, we should be encouraging alternative forms of energy, that we should be encouraging efficiency, and that we should also be encouraging domestic gas and oil production.
By the way, I would have no problem with encouraging efficiency in all kinds of different ways. But if we're going to be neutral, it's just interesting to me. In one of the books, it talks about how oil and natural gas. If we go to this one, it talks about oil and natural gas will be the energy for the future because it's what we're producing. But we hope to transition at some point to that. You go to a different page, and it says we're going to decrease the usage of oil and natural gas and try to get us to a different one. And if I go to the Treasury book, it actually says we just need to be neutral on this. And so it's really interesting trying to figure out the tax policy and the energy policy of where we're headed on this. There's no question if you raise taxes and you remove all the normal business expensing, that is going to decrease production. My question along with that is there another industry that the president wants to remove normal business expensing from?
Well, the president definitely wants to get rid of tax expenditures and loopholes that encourage companies to move overseas.
Sure, I would agree with that, but he's unwilling to do a territorial tax system. Am I correct on that?
I'm sorry?
A territorial tax system? I mean, that doesn't seem to be addressed.
I don't think, well, again, you'll have Secretary Lew at some point soon, but I don't think of it as territorial and global. The president has put forward principles for corporate tax reform, lowering the rates, particularly for manufacturing, and having a global minimum tax, which is really a hybrid system. It's not a territorial or a worldwide system.
If all of the business expensing for energy production is taken away, I assume that's to incentivize that we go to the other forms of energy. The reality of that is the middle class will pay more for energy in the days ahead, and that will be a middle class tax. It's just shifted to a different area.
Gentleman's time has expired. The gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Woodall, for 5 minutes.